What's going on, everybody? This is the Fortress. Once again, I know you haven't heard from me in a little while. I'm no longer doing my little radio show, but I thought I'd just bring something to your attention today. Came across the air, the radio waves. I was listening to some radio, and ironically, I was able to find it in a couple of places on the internet. Just some recent news in the month of June, but apparently, according to the Wall Street Journal, and then, of course, Conservative Tribune, as far as Europe goes, there is a tremendous lack of military defense spending. All right, let's just go over how desperate things have become because of how complacent people are, because of how people just feel like, oh, defense just isn't really that important. Especially, there's no Muslim refugee chaos going on in the streets or anything in Europe, because there's not any video evidence of any of that, right? Okay, so just listen to this. Wait a minute. Let me start with this. I meant to start the video with this. Bang. Is that a deterrent for you? Are you scared? All right, I hope that worked, because according to this article, that's what soldiers were forced to do. Soldiers. Okay, we're not talking about some police department with maybe a low budget, because that happens. But according to the Wall Street Journal, a report in early June, members of Germany's Light Infantry Battalion near the Baltic Sea reported last year that they didn't have enough equipment, anti-tank weapons, sniper rifles, or vehicles to even simulate battle. Wow, that's not the Germany we used to know, is it? I mean, I guess that's probably a good thing, but it says here, when it became clear they didn't have enough munitions, they were told to imagine the bangs instead. Imagine the bangs. I work for a police department, happens to be for a healthcare system, and we've been able to do simunition training before. Yeah, it's pricey, but we've been able to do it. There are other big agencies that do it, and this is just law enforcement. They don't have big military budgets. And we're talking about the German military not being able to do certain exercises because they didn't have enough bullets. Wow. Are y'all paying attention yet? If you can't see what's going on in the world, first of all, I've said before, and I've kind of pointed to some differences in generational thinking. It's not like an age thing, but it's the era we're in, and just a societal way of thinking that it's beyond me. And that is the fact that you don't understand. Some of you out there, or some of your friends, maybe you listen to me and you think like me anyway. I tend to get listeners who think like me, which is fine. But there's a disconnect between people and understanding cause and effect. Consequences for actions. Because cause and effect and consequences for actions are very similar. Okay? For example, not taking safety and security seriously, that's going to cause a certain effect. That effect will eventually be a weak military and an inability to respond to real threats. Not taking safety and security seriously, well, what does that result in? What are the consequences for those actions or lack thereof? The consequences, the effect of that's going to cause you to be unready, unprepared for a terrorist attack. And what, pray tell, has been happening all over our news for the last 10 years because of people unwilling to accept that. Because of a certain administration before the one we've got now. Thank goodness. He at least put some things on hold. where, oh, let's just not take safety seriously. We just shouldn't. What if all of your Hollywood actors and actresses out there all of a sudden didn't take their own personal safety seriously? You know, what I'm talking about is taking down some of those walls around their great big estates, or getting rid of some of those professionally paid bodyguards, a lot of which happen to be former SAS. No, they're not going to do that, right? So it's like they understand, well, okay, I got to protect myself, but no, because of this political agenda, I want to support over here. Well, we will just forget about safety and spending on safety and spending on security and military defenses. All that stuff doesn't matter. So that was right at the front of my mind today, and I've been thinking about the whole cause and effect thing anyway. If you have a weak border, guess what that causes? Guess what results? If you have a weak border, things come through the border. Things that you don't want coming through the border come through the border. Wait, here's some consequences to a certain action. Here's an action I'm going to take. I'm going to aid and abet. I'm going to offer sanctuary to poor, pitiful people who intentionally break the law. I'm going to say, you guys come over here. We're not really going to put a limit on it, by the way. So just keep them coming. Keep them coming. What I'm going to do is I'm going to become an enabler to those criminals. And you are enabling those criminals to become worse. You're enabling them to become emboldened. And they're going to think they can get away with more, and get away with more, and kill more, and hurt more. Cause and effect. Consequences to action. I'm very passionate about this subject matter in particular. And when I heard this radio newscast, it was one of these little commercials on the, but news breaks. And I heard that, and then I just looked it up for myself. I was like, wait a minute, come on. And I found it not only, in a conservative site, because they tend to be concerned with safety and security, but the Wall Street Journal, which is a reputable source, right, as far as mainstream goes. And they have it to where Europe reckons that they're a little light on defense. Yeah, how do you think? You have to take it seriously. You have to take safety and security seriously. If you've never thought about something bad happening where you are, think again. It can happen anywhere. A friend of mine the other day attempted carjacking. He just happened to be a police officer and had a gun pointed at the guy's head by the time he opened the door. What if he weren't, though? What if somebody got in his car, held a knife to the driver's throat, told him to go somewhere, drop him off here, and instead of, getting out of the guy's car, when they got to the desired destination, he jams the knife into the guy's neck, decides to keep the car for himself, dump the guy's body. Yes, that's me thinking like a novelist. However, it could happen. If you don't think it'll happen, it will. Because that's how evil works. They're going to take advantage of your weaknesses, your vulnerabilities. I am so sick and tired of people just not even thinking about safety, security, and defense. Because you really, honestly, there's no excuse anymore. Look at the world around you. Turn on the news tonight. Turn it on tomorrow. Turn it on the next day. I'm not saying you have to be a paranoid squirrel. I'm saying use your friggin' head and think, hey, maybe I should lock the door. Maybe I should just look around while I walk instead of stare at my cell phone. Maybe when I'm pulling up to an intersection, I should look at the street corners. Maybe when I go out my front door in the morning, I should look and see, is there anybody else outside? This is not paranoid. This is just cautious. Just be cautious. People are way less likely to get the drop on you to take advantage of you. And some criminal out there might be sorry because they thought they had the drop on you and you saw them first. That's all I have to say about that. I didn't do Facebook Live because I had no idea how much I would rant. You guys have a great day. God bless you. I'd love to know your thoughts. Shoot me an email or go to the contacts page at www.jason-e-fort.com. God bless everybody.